Hi, my name is Marissa Beck, and I'm here today to discuss some communication issues. And I just want to start out with a question today, and that is, as a leader, do you take responsibility for your actions? Do you own up to things when they go wrong and when they are your fault? An entrepreneur.com article accessed April 20th of 2020 that I found was on a leader owning their mistakes, and it talks about a couple of things that go into that make a leader a good leader. One thing is fostering open lines of communication. You always want to have as many open lines of communication as possible. You want to make sure that information is flowing through it in both directions and that things are getting answered and everyone feels like they have a voice. You also want to be transparent on problems and mistakes. You have to own up to your problems. You cannot just sit back and pretend like you dodged a bullet and think that no one knew about it, no one heard about it, and it's not going to affect business. It will, and it will come back around even if it isn't right away. So being transparent on problems and mistakes is one of the most important things to take from this article, and I truly believe that. And also, you need to know how to accept responsibility. And that's with your mistakes. If you make a mistake, you need to own up to it, and you need to do so in a professional manner. Another thing is how to fix the problem. Just because you found a problem doesn't mean you deserve that pat on the back just yet. You need to know how to fix it and how to present how to fix it. If someone doesn't understand the problem or know that there was even a problem to begin with, you need to present that in a way that they will, one, understand, and then two, understand how to react to. And you also don't want to cause panic. So if you're going to your boss or the person above your boss or even an employee with a problem, you need to say, this is the problem, this is the cause and effect of the problem, but this is my solution. And how you go about that and the way you present things will determine their reaction and what will happen moving forward. So very important. Scott Signor, author of a PR Week article that I found called Traits of a Solid PR Professional, provides excellent explanations of many qualities a PR professional should possess. And one of these qualities is to be flexible. You need to be nimble and go with the flow. You need to adapt. So if there's something that happens like the coronavirus, you need to know how to adapt everything you are doing, everything your organization is doing, how you are communicating with your employees, your stakeholders, the media, everyone, and you need to know how to do that very quickly and make those changes. You need to be professionally handling things. You need to keep your wits about you. You cannot just go out there and freak out because there's a problem and you know how to fix it, but there's a problem. You need to stay professional and you need to know what you were talking about and provide factual information with that. And that also goes with employees. If there's something going on, your employees need to know how to talk to you, and they need to know that you will be professional about anything going on in your organization. And don't be afraid of change. Sometimes people get stuck on this and they think that the way they are doing things is best, and sometimes the way they are doing things is not. And change needs to happen. It's one thing to, think about change. It's another thing to enforce change. If you are needing change in your organization, you need to accept it. You need to do your research on how to provide change to your organization, what's best, what's needed, all of those things. And then you need to implement it. And then you need to evaluate the implementations that you did. And you need to decide whether or not those things worked, how they worked, how you could improve them, things that aren't maybe needed like you originally thought, and so on. You need to do your research for sure. And you also need to have open communication with others. You need to make sure that your door is always open, so to speak. If someone needs you and they need to talk to you, they need to know that they can come to you, whether that's through email, phone, any sort of messaging system, surveys, whatever. They need to know that all of those open communication lines are there for their use. So today I'm going to be explaining the finding of our downward communication problem and adaptations that we made to fix them within our department. And I think that some of the things I've already talked about will kind of intertwine throughout this whole presentation. So that's why I thought it was important to go through those things. I would like to take a moment to go over what I will be discussing today, And the first thing is the downward communication problem we found. I will be talking about what the problem was, an example of the problem, and consequences the problem had on our organization. Then I'll, of course, talk about the solution we found and how it will impact our firm in the future, and then also we'll end with questions. Now, let's get into the downward communication problem we have found. So the problem that was downward communication flow is where we found our biggest issue, and the problem was that information was being withheld from employees in the firm. So what started out with messages that were supposed to be sent from me were then transferred to a secretary that was supposed to disseminate the information to the correct people in the firm. And what happened was she wasn't aware of what to send and she didn't ask. So information got lost and therefore it was withheld. And so a lot of employees didn't have the correct information at all, and it caused some real big problems. Messages just were not received, and what was sent was unclear. So we had a couple of issues with that. And then we also had client information that was not up to date, and rumors began to spread about different employees and myself, the leader of the organization, because people were saying, oh, you didn't get this to me, or this information was wrong and you gave it to me, or I never received this, or I didn't know about that. And so rumors started going around the organization, which is never a good thing. And the very serious outcome of this issue was that work was not being done properly or on time. One thing about an organization such as a PR firm is that things need to be rolled out quickly. There's deadlines to meet. There's clients that need your work promptly. And if you don't have the right information or information at all, that kind of backs things up, and it is not a good look for your client. So the impact of this was inaccurate information, lack of information, and stress on firm and employee relationships, sadly. So a lot of people were having issues with their relationship with me and with others in the firm. So in order to help aid other organizations who might be experiencing this or might in the future, let me offer advice on how to fix the problem. Becky Hall, the author of 11 Ways to Perfect Your Internal Communication Plan, offers well-rounded advice on how to approach your organization regarding communication strategies. She is brilliant and I love everything she has to say, so I brought this into my speech as a reference, and I think it's very helpful. One thing is research. You need to know where you stand. You need to know how to get to the next step. Research is key. If you don't have research behind your findings or behind why there needs to be change implemented, then the person you are trying to convince of this isn't going to exactly always, not never, but always believe you and have your back 100%. There's also updates, so emails, meetings, surveys, client meetings, employee meetings, all of the updated information being sent out accurately. Updates are very important. And then you need a plan and you need consistency. So, whatever the plan is, it needs to be consistent. And along with that, you need feedback so you know that what you are implementing is positive. And if it's not, you can implement change. So feedback is very important as well. So now that we have discussed what to do in order to solve the problem at hand, let's talk about the positive outcome you would see in the future if you implemented these changes. Becky Hall provides information on what will happen if things implemented correctly across the board were enforced. And one of the advantages is allows communication to consistently flow downward. So if I'm implementing emails and meetings and feedback and consistently doing all of these things, and I'm the one doing that and I'm not handing it off to someone who doesn't always have all of the right information or information at all, then that is very positive and it allows communication to flow. Feedback is also very important because you cannot just talk at someone. You need to have a conversation in a sense. And so feedback allowing you to know whether or not you are doing these things right, if there's anything you could do differently, and so on. And the promotion of ideas. So if you are the only one who has ideas in your firm, that is a problem, or your organization in general, anyone. You need your employees to have ideas and to have the ability to speak those ideas. And to implement change, you need brainstorming. So that is one thing that is very key. Another thing is possible disadvantages that we need to talk about. And one thing is that every firm is different. So if this works for my firm, it's not necessarily going to work for yours or organization or whatever you are implementing changes, and everything is different. So you need to understand that and go back to step 1 and do your research. Time consuming during heavy workloads. That was one complaint that we had. So sometimes we get really backed up on projects and we can't always take the time to fill out that survey or to have that weekly meeting, but it is important to always reschedule those or to make time during the day. And it doesn't, if you are busy one day compared to the next, moving it does not hurt. Some counter arguments with those disadvantages is that differences in firms is okay, differences in mind, you just implement what works for you guys. And that is important to do with any type of feedback. And the time-consuming complaint, Hamilton and Kroll, they mentioned that message interpretation greatly is improved by strong communication elements such as feedback in their book. And I thought that was so strong that I had to keep this in here and mention how that relates to me. And with that, message interpretation is greatly improved when you have strong communication skills, and all the things that we've been talking about as far as changes made to the organization backs that claim up. So, in conclusion, the Public Relations Department of Health Eats has a communication problem caused by the flow of downward communication. And that problem is withholding of information, lack of information, rumor spreading, false information. The solution is that new communication adaptations are created through emails, feedback loops, meetings, surveys, things like this. And it's multi-dimensional approach, so there's multiple different facets that go into this, and that makes it stronger. The impact would be positive, and it would allow the firm and employee relationship to succeed. It would allow accurate information and timely work being done in the firm. And so overall, I just want to state that Bruce Hammond writes an article titled Up and Down the Communication Ladder and discusses the importance of communication. He states effective interpersonal communication has long been recognized to basic to any successful human enterprise. And 1 is accurate for PR firms, and 2, communication is key. So I truly believe that all organizations need to periodically look at how their communication structure is set up and the positives within that and also the negatives within that firm on your organization level, because if Healthy Eats PR department has benefited greatly from restructuring ourselves, you might as well. And I am now available for any questions you may have. Thank you.